I think the problem may be the underlying texture actually. So just let me find where that layer is. Not that one. Not that one. Okay, it's that one there. I'm going to let me bake what we've done down so I don't have that problem with the white popping in. Okay, I'm just going to double check again that I'm on the right layer, and I am. I'm going to pull in our original bitmap color here, the base color. It looks like when I did the paint I may have just forgotten a spot there, so I'm just going to scale it up and paint that through. That's just to get rid of that line that was appearing, and it was the underlying color that was doing it. Let's jump back into our 3D viewport here. That's better. I might also add a layer just down here on the bottom rung. So it's going to scale in a bit. Again, thank you, Raphael, for following me on Twitch. As I said, I appreciate it. It's very good of you. Let's jump back up to this layer just here. Grab our texture again that we were using for that dirt map, which is this one here. We'll scale it back. And again, I'm going to paint that in. I'm using the same layer, so we're going to see it as it will look. I won't do it all the way along. I'll just do it in spots here and there to add a bit more interest to the underlying texture. We don't want to have that line showing up though. Okay. Now let's throw a bit of an overall dirt pattern on this. So I'll throw on a new layer. I want to grab a texture that I can use that's interesting as an overall dirt layer. Maybe that one. This one might be good. I'm going to angle my model so I'm looking directly down on it. Again, we're working on a new layer. I'm just going to paint over the top of this. Again, it's a dirt layer, so you don't have to be mega precious about it. Just make sure it blends in together. It's a bit down here on the end. We'll bake that down. Move that out of the way and change our layer style here probably to a multiply. We're going to pull it back. Just so we get that hint of a dirt mark showing up. Now we're going to stay with the same texture on the same layer. And we're just going to throw that dirt texture here and there. I'm going to scale it up a bit. And you see what it just paint a bit here and there to give it the hint of dirt in bits and pieces. So there. You could probably turn masking off here. I think I actually will do that. Through here. it may be a good idea to also, just going to bake that down before I change brushes, to go into your brush editor and make it a bit larger. You could even knock back the opacity a bit if you wanted. That'll just give you a wider coverage and look a bit more natural. Okay, we'll bake that down. Let's throw a bit through the middle through here. It looks like I've got a bit of stretching happening here as well. I'm going to fix that up in just a sec. So we'll finish with our dirt marks here. Don't go too nuts, but just a bit here and there. A bit on the outside edges. And a bit on this outside edge. Okay, let's fix up that just slight error I'm seeing just there. So to do that, we're just going to throw on another layer and jump back into our original texture, which is this one here. Again, I'm going to scale my texture up so I match it as best I can. You should actually probably turn masking back on here, but I'm not going to. I would suggest you do though. As long as you're careful, you should be okay. And also it looks like just through here we have a bit of a problem. So again, I'm just going to paint that out. And I'm also just going to paint through here and get rid of that white dot that keeps popping up. I'm also going to reduce my brush size a bit. All right. Let's pull this back into Max. So let's right click here and go export flattened, export everything flattened. We're in our rework folder. Again, Mari defaults to .tiff, so let's pop a star in there to see everything in your directory. This is banister curved inner, and we're going to call this one painted. .tga, because you have to specifically tell Mari what file format it is. Okay, let's save our project, and we'll jump back into 3D Studio Max. We'll pull in a bit here on our banister, and we'll swap out that render to texture with the painted version that we just created. It's that one just there. Now I've noticed that it needs another texture running along the top here, because we have to try and match it to the ones that we've created here at the front. So it's going to need another texture at the top. It may need one more at the bottom as well. It's mainly the front, I think, that needs to be just touched up a little bit because we need to blend it in with the rest of the banisters. Did I get a chance to look at that? Yeah, I did. Did you get my whisper? I whispered back to you. I checked it out. It looked great. That was the leg, the foot of the Nostromo that you're talking about. The detail is really great. For you guys that were in chat yesterday too, that got timed out by Nightbot, I've added you to the regulars and changed permissions, so you guys don't need to be specifically permitted now to post a link, and you won't be timed out and banned from the chat. So sorry about that, guys, yesterday. Yeah, let's add a bit more dirt to the top there and to the bottom edge, I think. Yeah, I think the bottom edge and the top. Just before we do that though. Oh, Sniper Echo, I don't... if you want to post a link, let me know, and I will add you to the regulars list as well. That means you won't need to be specifically permitted. If I haven't added you to the regulars, though, you will get banned. Just let me have a look who my regulars are. So you actually have been added, Sniper Echo, so yeah, you should be fine to post a link. Nightbot should not ban you. You're going to retopologize it. Cool. You do that manually, or do you use a piece of software to do the retopology? You'll be fine, Sniper Echo. You're a regular, and Nightbot has been told not to ban you, so you can post a link. I looked at it all yesterday after the stream and changed permissions for people I added to the regulars list, so that's cool. Just anybody else that I haven't yet added to regulars that does maybe want to post a link, you have to let me know. Otherwise, Nightbot will ban you. So the people that I've added to the regulars at the moment are Galen, Sniper Echo, Digitalis, and Smurfberry Barbecue. You guys can post without a problem. Any other guys that want to post, let me know, and I'll have to add you to the regulars list as well. And the reason I have it turned on is just to stop the chat from being spammed by spam bots on Twitch. Oh, you do it manually? Cool. Shogun X, what? Not yet? What? You want me to add you? Or you want to post or a link? I can add you to the regulars if you think you might want to post a link. That's not a problem. Before we jump back into Mario and finish painting up that, I'm actually going to, I think, add that to this piece of geometry as well. So we're going to create two unique textures, 1 and 2 here, and then we're going to alternate those same two textures here. So instead of one being here, we're going to make it this one here. So I'm going to isolate that, and I'm going to ungroup it. All right, Shogun X, I'll add you right now. Just give me a sec. Just let me jump into Nightbot's control panel. I'm in my regulars here. Yeah, just wait a sec before you post any links, guys. Shogun. SHOGENX. SHOGENX. Okay, Shogun, you've been added to Nightbot's regulars as well, so you can post a link without being timed out. Yes, it works. Cool. I don't have to battle Nightbot again. Oh. So you've been added as well, Shogun. You can post a link if you like, but I don't want you guys posting links to just nothing. You know, I'm happy to look at your work or something online that you think is cool. No problem. So let's throw an edit poly on this. And we'll attach these pieces together. I'm just going to double isolate to make sure I got all of the pieces in that model. And I did. Alright. Let's select that one we've just painted and open the channel info and copy the UVs. We're going to paste them into that second copy there. We're going to assign the same texture map to it, because I feel 2 should be enough, because the angel statues, as I said, cover up part of the model. Even if you're doing a render from the front here, you're never going to see all of those 2 textures at the same time. People are not going to notice that you've copied the texture around, you know, copied and pasted the texture. You haven't created one unique. The same with these 2 here. You're never going to see them in their full at the same time. So instead of creating 4 textures, you create 2 and just copy them. Saves a huge amount of time. But let's just fix the texture on the top of that there. So we'll jump back into Mari. Just going to throw on a new layer and grab a texture for the top there. That's interesting. It doesn't look like it. Just checking that that's actually showing up. I see. I was confused because the other banisters, when we textured them up, they face outward, but these ones I forgot face the opposite direction. So, all right, back into Mari. So instead of this being the outside of the model, that's the inside. That's the outside. We need to texture up the top here and probably also along there. So we're on a new layer. Let's grab our texture. This one will work. See, this one is too similar to that one, so let's choose something different. I don't like the look of that one. Yeah, no, not that one either. Maybe. Yeah, no, not quite. Maybe. I'm just looking for a texture that's got a bit of interest to it, like that bottom one that we used there, but I don't want to use the same texture again up here. So it's just a question of finding one that looks interesting enough. We may have to settle for this one. We'll see what it looks like. Pull it back, and again I'm going to turn masking back on. Scale it up a bit. Paint that in. bake it down. Okay, let's change our layer style and have a look. I think an add for this. And again, we're going to pull it back. Like that. And let's use the same texture down here, maybe on that row there. So again, I'm going to pull in a bit on the model. Still sticking to the same layer again. We don't need to change layer styles here so much. Although I may pull it back a bit, it still might be a bit white, I think. Yeah, I think I'll just pull it back slightly. I think this side was okay. Let's re-export that and have a look. We'll keep the name the same. We're just overriding the old texture. So painted is fine. Yes, we want to overwrite. Okay, let me just save our file here. We don't want to lose what we've done. And jump back into Max. Again, if my Max goes dark like that, just reload the texture in the material editor. Alright. I'm just going to select that piece of geometry so that Max has something that it can lock onto when we do the rotation, so we don't have to we won't lose it when we're rotating around the model. And I actually think the dirt texture needs to be brought up a bit. These are a bit darker than this one, so again, that's an easy fix in Mari. We have to find the just going to turn masking off so we can see it a bit better. We're just going to find the layer that we used for the dirt texture, which I think might have been 7. No, it must have been 6. Yep. Go back into that layer and we're just going to pull it up a bit more. And we'll re-export it and check it out. Okay, let's jump back into Max. Again, let's reload that texture. I think that's a bit better. It just needed to be darkened up a bit to better match the other column, the other banisters. Although I still think it needs a bit more of the white mark here through the top, so again, I'm just going to go back and throw on a new layer. Just that top banister needs a bit more work, that top run. This texture will do. I do want to turn masking back on though. And let's see here. Again, I'm going to angle the model forward slightly. I'm going to rotate my texture 180 degrees. I'm also going to scale my texture up a bit. I'll bake that down. Before I continue on, I'm going to actually change my layer style here before I continue painting. Just going to pull it back. I scaled it up just a bit too to give it a bit more interest and difference. Let's bake that down, and I'm actually also going to add it to that bottom edge there, I think. Still working on the same layer, still the same texture. I'm just going to scale it back. Okay. Let's re-export it and check it again in Max. Export, overwrite. Again, we'll save. And we'll jump back into Max and reload our texture once more. That's better. I wanted it to have a bit more of a similarity to the white marks we see on the on these other banisters. It just wasn't doing it for me, but now that we've added that second layer, it's better. Let's also check this one over here. Yeah. Again, as I was saying though, I don't know whether we'll stick. I may do some color correction on these banisters in Photoshop, on the textures of the banisters in Photoshop. It will depend on what textures we decide to use for these columns and these supports. Like I was thinking I may pick up a terracotta type color for the supports. I don't want to use any more grey because it's going to be too grey. I don't want to go too bright. It has to be quite muted, the color. But we'll look at that when we're finished texturing up the rest of the banisters. And we're nearly done. We've only got to create one more variation of this for these two, and then texture up this large piece at the back. That'll have to be done uniquely as well. But once they're textured up, then we've only got these supports and these large columns at the front left to texture before we can bring in the new statues and grow the ivy with the flowering ivy and that sort of thing. But let's create one more variation of this texture here. And we can do that easily just by turning off the layers that we've painted on till we get back to the base layer. And actually, I'm going to leave the dirt layer on. Was that the dirt layer? I don't think that was the dirt layer. That's the corrections we made to the texture down here. We'll leave that on. I think that was the dirt layer. We'll leave that one on as well, but we'll swap out the rest of them. So again, we're at the top of the stack, so we'll just throw on a new layer. We'll grab another texture. This one might work. We'll scale that up just a bit. Paint that in. Now, because we're doing a variation of the same texture, we want to try and make it a little bit as different as we can. because we want people to know that, you know, it's not the same texture, it's another one. So don't be too subtle about with the changes, in other words. I mean, don't go nuts, but make it different enough that people will know that it's a different texture. We'll bake that down. Let's also add that to this front edge here, I think. Okay. Again, we're only worrying about the white part of the texture, not the black. Now you want to make it different because we are going to copy the texture. Don't add any really noticeable features, otherwise you will notice it's been repeated. Let's change our layer style here to an add and pull it back. And we'll just throw a couple also on the back side here, actually, which is actually the front. I keep forgetting that's the back, this is the front. So again, we're going to throw one along the top here. Just going to zoom in on our model a bit. I'm on the same layer, still working with that layer style, and we can see what it's going to look like as we paint it in. Alright. Let's also add that to this bottom one here. Just going to scale it back just a bit. And this bit just here on the end. We'll bake that down. Let's throw on a new layer and grab a new texture. Let's go with this one here. I'm going to throw this along the bottom there. Now with this one, I'm more concerned with the black part of the texture, not the white. A bit just there on the end. And I'll also throw that down here along this bottom edge, I think. Again, I'm going to rotate the texture 180 degrees. Scale it back just a bit. bake it in. Bake that down. And let's do a couple on this side as well. I'll do this bottom edge here. Just going to blend that in a bit better there. Okay, and let's also do let's leave that there and change our layer style. Actually, we'll go to a multiply and we'll pull it right back. Let's export this as version 2. We probably will need to do a little bit more, add a little bit more changes to it. We're going to do this as painted _ R2 for revision 2. And again, we're saving it as a TGA. Again, let's save our project there. And jump into Max. Open up our material editor, and now because we're doing a variation on the same texture, I'm going to go horizontally as opposed to vertically. Again, that's just for my reference so that it's easy for me to see my variations and my textures. So we want R2, which is that one there. Again, we're going to pipe it into our diffuse channel and turn on show shaded. All right, before we assign it to this first banister, I think we have to attach it and ungroup it. So we'll ungroup. Again, I'm just going to throw an edit poly down as opposed to collapsing the stack. Either one will work. And I'm going to attach these pieces together. Now double isolate to make sure I got all of the pieces. And I did. Now we are going to select our piece over here and open up our channel info and copy our UVs across. And now that we've copied them, we should be able to assign our second texture map. All right. Again, like I was saying there, we're going to need to add a bit more variation between them. We have a variation there on that top white mark. We need to add a bit more down the bottom here. And we could probably get away with adding a unique white mark here on one of the side pieces as well. But you're not going to notice, like I said, that we've copied textures around. We can use that same texture over here on this side. So all we have left to texture up uniquely now is that back piece before we finish it off with the banisters and the supports here. But I think we may leave it there for today, guys. Thank you guys very much for watching. I do appreciate you stopping by and chatting to me in chat and watching the channel. Thank you guys that followed me today on Twitch. I appreciate that. I always post 15 minutes to my Twitter page at PhilDoes3D before I'm about to go live. So if you need a reminder, just keep an eye on my Twitter page. I'll be back on again on Monday next week at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time in the US. Thank you again, like I said, for watching, and hopefully I'll see you guys next week. Have a good weekend, guys. See ya.